What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of our Road to Glory career mode. This one is episode 52 today, and as you can tell, it will be post-com. But in today's episode, we have 3 games for you to watch. Also, we have 2 new signings into the club and 1 outgoing transfer. You can see all that happen in the later stages of today's episode, but as I show you it, we kickstarted off because I made a new signing. This one was from the free agents. A 19-year-old, 69 rated Cam from Spain. He's a game-generated player. I don't know if he's a regen or not, but what really struck me and what really made me sign him was he has 4-star weak foot, 5-star skill moves. We've got one other player in the side that's like that, and that man is Isaac Martin, but he's very, very slow. Whereas this guy was 5'9", he's pretty quick, he's got decent agility, and I felt overall he would be able to do a decent job if we train him. So we picked him up for £11,500 a week on the wage. Not too expensive at all. Hopefully he can get involved in some first team action maybe later on down the line. But the first game of the episode comes at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea taking on Crew Alexandra. And one of the other things I wanted to do was test us even more. So I went and upped the sliders even further. So as you can see there on the screen, that's what we were playing with previously. The shot speed and the shot error was at that. And the pass error and stuff. So I moved it to 70 for the pass speed and shot speed. 20 for the shot error and pass error, which he was already on 20 for a few of them. And I upped the goalkeeper ability to 75 as well. So these are the same sliders now that we were playing on the Celta Vigo save. And then later on in the episode, I upped them even further. But there is one section of the sliders that I was using, which I'm hoping you guys might know the difference in. I switched them off recently, but I don't know if it has an impact. I put the CPU run frequency and I moved it up. Basically to try and make them make more runs, hence making it more difficult for us to defend, and I put their marking up as well. But it didn't feel like it made that much of a difference in game. I don't know if I put it up the wrong way or if it even has an impact in the game. Let me know below. But yeah, so the sliders that we are playing with currently is what you saw there, except then I moved them even further. So you'll see them later on anyways in the episode. But this first game against Chelsea started off well for us. We actually had the first chance of this one pretty early on. 15 minutes in, our top scorer, Calvert-Lewin, drove down this left-hand side. And at this point, I didn't really know what to do, so I just hit that shot button. And thankfully, he got it on target, and Courtois couldn't keep the shot out. The strike had pace behind it, but I've got to say, the Belgian, for me, didn't do enough to be able to stop that. It's a decent effort, but not one that I would consider for him to actually make that mistake on and it go in. So Chelsea were a 1-0 down inside the first 15 minutes, and they grew into the game a little bit more. But it was us in the second who looked for that second goal as well. El Ghazi's delicious crossing towards the middle, and Calvert-Lewin doubles his goal tally for the afternoon, making it 2-0 just past the 60-minute mark. And at this point, I was feeling confident the 3 points were heading back to Crew with us. And as well, guys, remember, at the moment, we're top of the league. We're undefeated as well. So from here on out, until we lose a game in the Premier League, I'm going to be playing every single Premier League game. Because if you want to go unbeaten, I feel like it needs to be us that are doing it. You know, I need to play the games and not sim them. And that way, we are then earning our unbeaten season. Or for that matter, losing our unbeaten season. And Tolisso did pull one back for the home side with about 10 or so minutes remaining. Really strange from us not being able to clear our lines. And unfortunately, we were made to pay for it. A decent finish from the Frenchman. Got Chelsea one back, but that was the way the game ended, and we did manage to hold on, even if it was a nervy last 10 minutes, to a 2-1 win, and we get the 3 points away from Stamford Bridge as well. So 2 goals from Calvert-Lewin, and that was what made the difference for us. You can see by the match facts, we were the better side and did deserve that victory from the game. And after that, we came out and we started to get some offers for some players, one of them being Angel Gomez. I feel like I'm so harsh on him. He shouldn't be sat on the bench. He should be playing games, but the truth is, the way I want to deploy him as a winger or as like an attacking threat on those kind of sides. And we just can't do that with the team we've got. So when the offer came in from Bournemouth here for 16 million, I went in and I wanted to compromise with Eddie Howe. And I said, look, you can take him off our hands, but we're going to need a better offer than that 80 or the £15.8 million that they are offering. So I said £28 million initially. They then came back to me and said that that wasn't what they were looking for. So Eddie Howe then said 20.2. I then renegotiated with him and said, listen, 24 is my cut-off point, to which Eddie Howe decided he was prepared to pay that £24 million deal. So Gomez, he's 77 rated. He hasn't had a lot of a look in this season. And if he does go for that £24 million mark, I'm happy with that. I want to see him playing football on a regular. And although I understand that a lot of you guys would like to see him progress at the club and maybe become one of our star players, he just hasn't done that for us. And I feel like we've got better players in the roles of that position. So I've decided to let him go. If he goes for that £24 million, it's a win for us. It's a win for Bournemouth because they're getting a quality player. But if he doesn't, then we'll keep hold of him and he can be a squad rotation player for us. But the reason I made that happen as well, I'll explain in a moment, as we go into game against Nottingham Forest in this FA Cup, which we simmed, and we ended up winning 3-1. A Reece Nelson hat-trick in this one, giving us this way through into the next round of the FA Cup. So he's obviously putting his name in the team sheet as to why he should be starting, but that's the reason why. So Bournemouth complete the Angel Gomez signing. He goes for £24 million. He was only worth 15 at the time of me accepting that deal, but he is only 21 as well, so he does have time to grow. But the reason I actually did accept it was because I realised quite quickly that with us losing 2 central defenders on pre-contracts at the end of this season, we're not going to have a lot of squad depth defensively. So I saw that offer coming for Gomez. I felt like we had enough going forward. We've obviously got that new cam as well from the free agents that we just didn't need to keep him, but we definitely needed to bring in some defenders. So I went ahead and accepted that deal on the basis that I was going to go ahead and buy some defenders. So the first one we went for was a Lemire Mir. Of course, we had one previously, but we sold Lemire Mir. This one's called Wanderson Lemire Mir, and he plays centre-back. So I decided to go ahead and make this deal happen. He's 72 rated. He's 5 overalls less than Gomez was, but he's costing us significantly cheaper. He's only going to cost us about £6 million, £6.5 million in order to get this deal done from Metz. And as you can see by the wage, he honestly didn't want a lot at all. So I was quite happy to have that happen, and quite happy to get the deal over the line as well. And then when I brought him in, my idea was just to play him as kind of a squad rotation player. But then a few days after that, I actually found this guy, Florian Haas, who, if I remember correctly, was playing for Mainz in the Bundesliga. He was 19 years old, but I looked at him and he had great physical stats. So I initially went in with a £10 million offer. I didn't have enough time to scout him because we were coming towards the back end of the window, and it would take 18 days to make this happen. So I was basically going in blind, to which they wanted 13.2. So I decided to counter it, and then you can see me just going in and countering it again and again and again, just to try to get a better deal for ourselves. Eventually, we negotiate a £12.3 million transfer, and the 19-year-old, only thing left for us to do was negotiate a contract with him. My only worry is that he's 5'11". For a centre-back, we know that I like my centre-backs to be 6'1", 6'2", potentially even 6'3", just to give him that height advantage. So part of me was slightly worried at that aspect that he was only 5'11", but we've seen that we can use the smaller defenders to a good extent. Of course, we've got Ezri Konsa in the side, who's been brilliant for us since Season 1, and he's quite short as well. So part of me going into this was like, although he is kind of short, Haas, he still could be quite good for us. But we made the deal happen anyways. He joins the club on £22,000 a week, and as you can see, as I put him on the bench here, Mir was 72 rated and Haas was 78. He's got great physicals, as I said. Good jumping, good strength, good sprint speed. His heading accuracy is decent. His marking's good. We just need to train up his defensive stats and it'll be really good for us. Unfortunately, though, he can only play that centre-back role. That's the only position he can play. For Lemire Mir, though, those are his stats in his skills side of things. He's got a better weak foot at 3-star. He's also a little bit taller at 6'1". His physicals are similar to Haas, except they're not as good at the moment. But obviously, we're expecting that. He's only 72 rated, whereas Haas is 78. So for the same money, or a bit less actually, what we got in for Gomez, we've managed to sign 2 new defenders who hopefully can be good for us in the long term. I'm really excited about Haas, and I think Lemire Mir as well. He'll be a good squad rotation player for us. So do you think that business was good enough for us? Do you think I made a mistake in letting Gomez go? Of course, I had no money at all in the window, in which case I had to make a sale happen if I wanted to bring anybody in. I'm just kind of thinking in the back of my mind now that potentially that letting go of Gomez could be quite bad for us because he was good on his day when we needed him. But at the same time, if Haas comes in and does a good job, it could be a really good piece of business by us. The next game comes at Goodison Park. It's against Everton, first versus second in the league. And at this point, I was feeling confident. We're still undefeated after 22 league games, 18 games won, 4 draws and 0 defeats. Not only that, we have such a big gap at the top of the table right now that it looks inconceivable that we are going to be heading towards our second consecutive Premier League title. If we don't get it from this stage, we may as well just quit playing FIFA. The side from Everton, though, is very good. They've made some very good deals happen, and they've also got a solid midfield as well that might come back to pay dividends in this game if Everton are to win it. So when the game got underway, we actually started off a lot better than Everton did. Villa's initial effort was beaten away by Pickford, but as the rebound fell its way towards El Ghazi, he found Oxford, who just did the business, whipping that lovely ball in. And Donis was on hand to give us an advantage inside the 16th minute. A great cross from Oxford, but a great header as well from Donis. But as I said, we started off good, and I was feeling confident going into the game. And although Everton a second, you could see there was a gulf in class here. And as we continued on, it was pretty much domination from Crew. Grujic finding Oxford again. Oxford in towards the middle. Donis, great turn, gets it on that left foot and doubles his tally to make it 2-0 to the away side. So we're already 2-0 up. We're not even at the end of the first half yet, and things are looking pretty good for Crew Alexandra. But we were not going to stop there because we continued the pressure. El Ghazi back to Oxford, who was having a stellar of a performance at this point. He was involved in so much going forward. Donis 1-2 with Oxford. He continues into the box and then finds Dominic Calvert-Lewin for him to tap home to score against his former club. He also holds his hand up and says, hey, first return to Goodison Park. I'm not going to celebrate that goal. But goodness me, Everton had a horrific first half. But for Crew, this was destructive. Ross Barkley looking to pull one back. Gets past Grujic, drives forward and finds the finish into the corner of the goal as well. Beating Green. And he gave Everton what was going to be a lifeline heading into half-time. Can they do the unthinkable and come back to potentially get something out of this game? But the second half got underway. El Ghazi down the right. He just continues where we left off pretty much. Whipping yet another great cross in towards the middle. And Dominic Calvert-Lewin also doubles his for the afternoon as well, scoring that header there to beat the goalkeeper. So pretty much Everton, without sounding harsh, just weren't good enough on the day to keep us out. And El Ghazi, again, another good cross, another simple header. Jose Gaya makes it 5. We are absolutely battering Everton at home. At this point, I decided we needed to make the sliders even harder. So I then went back in, and this is what I mean about the run frequency and the marking. At 75 apiece, I moved them back down to 50 to see if it got harder or easier, because at this point, I actually didn't know whether or not upping them makes it easier or upping them makes it harder. Maybe you guys know. So I moved it down back to 50, but then I also went back upwards as well, and I also moved some of the other ones to make it even harder. So move those down, but at that point, I put the pass speed up to 75 to make the passes quicker so they were easier for the opponents to create chances. And as soon as I did that, Everton got another one. Davis back to Willems. Willems on the edge of the area finds Bakayoko. He finds Oumani Ase. And in the box, he scores to make it Everton 2, Crew 5. What a goal fest we have here on our hands. There's still 10 minutes remaining as well. As Jose Gaya picks it up on the left, he finds Barso Villar. He finds Calvert-Lewin, who finds Evans. It's 6 for Crew. And this has been what I can only explain as a once in a performance here at Goodison Park. I don't think we'll play as well as we did in terms of attacking threat again this season. But then again, we also did concede 2, with our new signing making his debut today. We did have Haas at the centre-back role alongside Konsa. But yeah, we conceded 2 goals. So I'm not sure whether or not I can read too much into that. The only good part about this was, of course, that we did score 6. So at least we battered Everton in the attacking front and did get the 3 points based off of that. So it is what it is. We had a couple of players on 2 goals as well. And also nice for Gaia to get on the score sheet. But ultimately, I was just happy with the way we played against the second place team to cause them that much problems and stuff. I mean, you can see 7 shots, 7 on target. We scored 6. And that's with the goalkeeper ability at 75. So finishing's on point currently. The final game, though, comes from Selhurst Park. It's Palace taking on this Crew side who are still unbeaten at the top. And this one's going to be the real test, I think, because with Haas and Contra at the back, you can see that's our team going into it. Oxford at right back. What a performance he had at Goodison Park, may I add. But we're going to be able to see whether or not this might come back to cost us, because we are playing Haas and Contra up against a target man like Christian Benteke. So if Palace play to their strength will be putting that ball in the air as much as they can and asking Benteke to win it against the 2 smaller central defenders in Concert and Haas. And if they don't do that, they're going to lose the game pretty much. That's their win condition. So I was intrigued to see how they were going to play this and if we would be able to contend against Christian Benteke with those two central defenders. That's the side from Palace. As I said, they do have the Benteke up front, and he's going to be their win condition for them. For us, though, it's the same side that played against Everton previously and won 6-2. So it's still confidence from us. We still have that same front three who are firing on all cylinders, like watching Liverpool's IRL, I suppose. But this game, again, we started off a lot better than our opponents did. El Ghazi whipping another delicious cross, as if we haven't done that enough this episode already. And it was Barso Villa, the man who put us in front with a header. Completely loses his marker. You can see on the edge of the area there, number 33 just doesn't follow him. Arguments from Palace for offside, but nothing given. And we took the lead inside the first 15 minutes again. So we were doing pretty good as it stood. And with about 5 minutes remaining of normal time, we found the second. El Ghazi again on the ball, plays it back to Oxford. Oxford tries to whip the cross in initially, doesn't do it on the first time, but gets another great delivery towards Calvert-Lewin. And his header was beaten away by the keeper, but only as far as Donis, who could put the rebound in to make it 2-0. With 2 minutes to go, I was just disappointed. Without sounding too harsh on Palace, they didn't play to their win condition. I said they've got to use Benteke, they've got to use the height they got in the side. You know, up front, we had two small central defenders. All they needed to do was whip that ball in the air towards Benteke and win it. And to be honest, he won quite a few of the headers. They just never got bodies up with him to be able to run off alongside him. And as Calvert-Lewin was through to make it 3-0, it summed up a poor Palace performance. But again, from us, it showed just how good we are going forward. So we got a goal for Calvert-Lewin, goal for Barso Villa, and a goal as well for Donis on top of that. Lovely finish from Calvert-Lewin, may I add, as well. That's his 14th goal of the season now to add to his collection, and he's the top scorer of the Premier League. We had Brereton, of course, last season be the Golden Boot winner. Who are we going to have this season? Will it be Calvert-Lewin, or will we see Donis pick up the award? But that brought the game to a close, 3-0 win, and as you can see, as I'm showing you in the player ratings here, Haas had a very good performance, 8.4. In terms of everything else, though, our keeper actually made more saves than their goalkeeper did in this game, so I was kind of surprised by that, considering the fact that Palace didn't really do anything to have any shots, so I was kind of intrigued to say that. But the crosses completed was decent. We had enough to be able to get out of it, and the man of the match actually from Donis, which is not the player I would have given it to, but he got man of the match for the game. Having said that, he did get an assist as well as his goal, I suppose. So I can see why that was the case. But for Palace, as I show you their player ratings, you can just see how poor it really was from them. As I said, all they needed to do is play around Benteke, use their win condition, and they just simply didn't do it. So match facts-wise, one shot, one on target from Palace, and yet our keeper made 4 saves. Again, don't know how that's possible, EA, but fair enough. Next up, we have an offer here from Michael Kinsella, which I went ahead and negotiated Girona with a team that wanted the signature of our 22-year-old striker. If you don't remember, a long time ago, I spoke about not wanting to keep him purely because he has a 2-star weak foot, and I was just thinking in the back of my mind, there's somebody out there who's going to be better with a 4-star weak foot. I like to have my strikers that have that capability to hit the shots on both feet, which is probably the reason why I didn't really get on with Michael Kinsella. So when we negotiated a £17.5 million offer for him, Girona accepted it and said they'd take him off our hands. So he'll be leaving the club as well, hopefully, if he can agree terms in the next episode, and that will give us some more funds for next season heading into that. I know I'm selling quite a few players, but I also wanted to be quite brutal and not keep as many players as I kept at the club, getting rid of some of the weight that potentially shouldn't be here. We did have another FA Cup game against Charlton. This one I simmed again. Gaia scoring the only goal of this one as we go through to the next round. But that, ladies and gentlemen, will be where we end today's episode off. There'll be a league table coming up, and also you can see the FA Cup draw and stuff like that. But, of course, 2 new additions to the side, letting go of Gomez, letting go of Kinsella now as well, if he does agree terms in that next episode. If you did enjoy this one, I'd appreciate a like rating. As always, thank you so much for all of your support on the channel. You guys are incredible. If you are new around here and you like what you see, the subscribe button is down below. Alongside that is the notification bell, so you can click that and never miss an upload. I'll see you all again at 4 PM UK time tomorrow, guys, for yet another video. See you all then. Adios.